How many of you would like to make a lot of money? And how many of you would like to make a lot of money very quickly? You've come to the right place. My name is Harv Eker, and welcome to Speedwealth, how to make $1 million in your own business in 3 years or less. Anybody interested? All right. First thing I want to do is I want to acknowledge you for being here. There's a saying that says 80% of success is just what? Showing up. So since I can't reach you all, we have a little ritual here. And all I need you to do is reach around, tap both your neighbors on the back and go, congratulations for being here. I want to thank you for your time. And I want to thank you for your trust. You know, speaking of trust, it reminds me of a story of this guy who's walking along the edge of a cliff. And all of a sudden he slips and he falls off. But he has the presence of mind to turn around and grab onto the ledge. And he's holding on to the ledge and holding on. And he doesn't know what to do. And he's holding on. And finally he yells up and goes, is there anybody up there that can help me? There's no one. Is there anybody up there that can help me? And all of a sudden this big bellowing voice calls out and goes, this is God. I can help you. Just let go and trust. And all of a sudden you hear, is there anybody else up there that can help me? Anytime I do any seminars, I have 2 rules. How many rules? 2. First rule is this. Don't believe a word I say. Now, why might I suggest that? That's right. Whose experience can I come from? Just my experience. It does not make it true. It doesn't make it false. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it my experience. But all I can let you know is that the principles you're going to hear tonight transformed my life and have now transformed the lives of thousands and thousands of other people. And if you learn them and you what? Use them, apply them, I believe they can transform your life too. So, all I can ask of you is, would you be willing to be open for this evening and try the material out in whose life? In your life. Whatever works for you, keep on what? Doing. Whatever doesn't work, you're welcome to what? Throw it out. How many of you willing to be open for tonight? Anybody not? Will see. Thank you. As for rule number 2, how many of you would like to get the most out of this evening? Yeah. Good. How many like to learn faster tonight? Yeah. How many like to remember more of what you learn? Yeah. Research shows the key to that is what? Who can tell me? Repetition, listening? Participation. Thank you. Involvement. Absolutely. How many know us ask a lot of questions? You haven't noticed? What do questions do? Yes, questions hook the mind. What do? Raise your hand if you're in business whatsoever. Raise your hand if you have customers or you'd like to have customers. Raise your hand if you'd like your customers to listen to you for once in a while. From here on in, you're going to ask them a what? Question. Very good. Also, sometimes you notice I leave the last word off the end of my sentence and your mind just fills in the... You guys are good. And then often I'll ask you to repeat things. To what? Now, why on earth would I ask you to repeat things? Yes, right, for involvement, for sure. But isn't it true that if I say something, it means one thing? But if you say it, it means what? Everything. Yes? So how many of you willing to participate 100% tonight? Anybody not? We'll find out. So since we're going to spend the next little while together, is it okay if I tell you just a little bit about myself? Yes? I guess I'm one of those people that try just about everything and anything to make it. Anybody else know what I'm talking about here? Had over a dozen different small businesses. I was in the perfume business. I was in the jewelry business. I was in the t-shirt business. I was in the novelty business. I was in the coupon business. I was in the dating business. I didn't get any dates, so I got out of the dating business. And I have to admit that the early ones were complete what? Disasters. I mean, real disasters. It was almost like the Loch Ness Monster type of syndrome. You know, I had heard of this thing called profit, but I never saw any of it, right? But then one night I got really lucky. I actually came home and my father was actually having dinner with one of the richest gentlemen in the entire city. And I knew this man. I knew that he was a friend of his, but I'd never seen him at our house. And I had moved back to my parents' house because I was broke as usual, right? You know, you do the business, you move out, and then you go broke and you go back to your parents' house. That happened until I was 61. So, anyways, for too long. And so I was back with my folks again, living downstairs. And this gentleman was there, and I knew he was, and he owned half the city. I'm telling you, this guy was, if he wasn't a billionaire, he was darn close. But he wasn't just rich, he was a fabulous man. He was very spiritual, he had a heart of gold, he had a beautiful family, he was very family oriented. So he was just one of these guys that you just wanted to emulate, he just had it all together. You know what I'm saying? One of these very special people. And I guess my father had been crying the blues to him about my situation, as usual. And he took me to a side and he said, would you like a word of advice? Well, I said, sure, And he said, Harv, if you're not doing as well as you'd like to be doing, all that means is there's something you still don't know. Well, being a brash young man at the time, I thought, what? I knew what? Everything. But my bank account did not reflect that. And so I listened for a change, and on his advice, I basically devoted myself to studying the strategies of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, especially those who made it big and made it very what? Very fast. Very what? Because that's how what? That's how I wanted to do it. I was just never one of these guys that could take 40 years in a business to try and make it. You know what I'm saying? I was always thinking, how can I make it quickly? Does that make sense to you? Yes or no? Anybody know what I'm talking about here? So, that's what resonated with me. And in doing so, to my shock, I found that virtually how many? Virtually all of these people use the same 7 steps. How many? 7 steps to create their fortune and their freedom. And I developed these steps into a little package, a little system, so I could use it. And I called it Speedwealth, and I put it to the test. And I went out there and I borrowed $2,000 on my Visa card, and I opened one of the first retail fitness stores in all of North America. And the results using the Speedwealth system were absolutely mind-blowing. With this system, I was able to open 10 stores in only 2.5 years, and then I sold half my company shares to the H.J. Heinz Corporation, the ketchup people, for $1.6 million. How many wouldn't mind starting with a $2,000 credit card loan and having $1.6 million in cash in your pocket a couple of years later for half your company, right? So after that, I began doing this again and again, and then I moved down to sunny San Diego, did a little bit of retirement over there, worked on my golf game. You'd never know it, so I gave up golf too. And I started getting a lot of people asking me basically, how I'd done this and how I keep doing these things and what these steps were. And so I started teaching strategies all across North America for high-speed success through a company that I founded called the Street Smart Business School. It went very, very well, and actually I came up here to Vancouver, to Western Canada, and started doing Toronto also about 4 years ago, and under the name in Canada of Peak Potentials. So all I can say is that the Speedwealth system created a money miracle. A money what? Miracle. In my life. Has now done that for thousands of people, and if you learn it, and again what? Use it and learn it, it can do the same for you. So, let's talk a little bit about the Speedwealth system. Who is the Speedwealth system for? Me. Yes, it's for ME, right. It's for people, first of all, who own their own business on a full-time basis. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. Good. It's for people who own their own business on a part-time basis. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. Good. It's for people who someday would like to own their own business. Raise your hand if you're one of those people. It's for people who don't care how they do it as long as they make $1 million very quickly. And it's for people who really love their job right now and they don't really want to leave it, but they want to have a security of knowing that they could make it. What's the word? Make it. They could make it, have it in their back pocket, should they ever decide to leave their job or it decides to leave them. Raise your hand if you're in that category. Okay, good. What kind of businesses are available? What kind of businesses work with the Speedwealth system? Yeah, the Speedwealth system is, Speedwealth principles are generalized principles. What are they? Generalized principles. So what that means is they work in what kind of businesses? All kinds of business. They work in retail business. They work in wholesale. They work in products. They work in services. They work in business to business. They work in home-based businesses. They work in network marketing type businesses. They work in high-tech, low-tech, any kind of business that you love. Got it? Yes? Yeah. All right. So how many of you are ready to learn the Speedwealth system? Yeah. Give somebody a high five beside you and say, I'm ready to go. Before we start on this, I want you to recognize something. I want to make sure you're clear on something. Did I make up the Speedwealth steps? No, I did not. What did I do? I simply what? Recognize what they were doing. And I'm hoping that you recognize, and you will hopefully, unless you've been under a rock somewhere, recognize every one of these steps. The only distinction here is what we've done is we've been able to put them into a package, put them in order in what? And that is critical because I blew off one business. I had it all right except for the order was wrong, right? And all of a sudden I was pretty well almost bankrupt again. Put them in order for you, and so now they become a little bit of a what? A checklist. A what? So you can determine where you are in this range and where your next steps are. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yeah. All right, you ready to go? Yeah. All right, you sound guys good. Speedwealth principle number 1. Very simply this. You have to believe that creating wealth quickly is what? One more time, twice as loud. Feasible. You have to believe that it's feasible. See, in my experience, especially when I'm on the radio and whatnot, when I talk about Speedwealth, they always want to nail me on the get rich quick thing. Yes or no, right? It's very obvious. Why is that? Because, but I believe that, getting rich quickly has gotten a really bad rap. Right? In the past, in the when? In the past, society has labeled people who would rather make their money faster than slower as what? Crooks, greedy, schemers, scammers. Nothing good, right? But actually, the truth is several thousand people, including myself, have made their money very quickly and fully legitimately. And not only is there nothing wrong with it, I actually believe this is the wave of the future. The wave of what? Look at a guy like, for example, Jeff Bezos. Here's a name you might know. He started a company called what? Amazon.com. Here's a guy who comes from a net worth of about $40,000, and in just under 3 years, he's got a net worth of over $7 billion. Okay? The guy is not a crook. The guy is not a scammer. He's not a schemer. He just made his money quickly and legitimately. Does that make sense? And a lot of it to boot. You say, oh, well, that's high tech. Everything in high tech went through the roof. No. There's a fellow by the name of, you want to recognize, John Schnatter. John Schnatter. I mean, who does he? This guy opens up a frickin' pizza parlor. Right? Papa John's Pizza. Have you heard of it at all? Papa John's Pizza. And in short order, again, using the Speedwealth system, he goes very quickly right to a net worth of over $400 million with pizza parlors. You could do this with hot dogs. You could do this with hair pieces. It doesn't matter. Well, okay, I didn't mean to insult you, sir. It's okay. It was just like so glaring. I was like, it just came out, right? The fact is, more and more fortunes are being made with lightning speed, and for very, very good reason. How many people agree that the world is changing quickly? Yeah. Technology is changing quickly, yes? Yes. Markets are changing quickly, yes? Yes. People's interests are changing quickly, yes? Yes. Yes. And therefore you have to realize that every time, what time? Every time there is a change. What's the key word? Change. A change in technology, in styles, in the law, in markets, in the latest business buzzword. Somebody gets rich. Why is that? Because change brings what? Opportunity. How do people buy into that? Change brings opportunity. And therefore quick change brings what? Quick opportunity. And quick opportunity allows you to create what? Quick wealth. Does that make any sense to anybody here? Yes or no? That's what we were looking for. Quick change here. Now, I not only believe that Speedwealth is feasible, I believe it's actually necessary today. That if you make it quickly, or you probably won't make it at all. Why do I say that? There's something that maybe some of you learned in your MBAs or wherever you took your trainings for business or whatnot, called a product or business cycle. Product or business what? And it looks kind of like this. There's a startup phase, a growth phase, maturation, saturation, decline. So startup, then what is it? Growth, maturation, saturation, decline. Now, this whole cycle in the old days used to take how many years would you say? Yes, 20 to 30 years was how long you could expect a niche to last for and be useful in the marketplace. Does that make sense? How long is that today? Where you have your own niche that you can basically, this is my niche, this is what I do, nobody else basically does this.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months if you're lucky. I would agree. It's anywhere from 6 months to maybe 3 to 4 years if you're lucky. A good example would be a software company. Here you are, you create a software program. It's a very good idea. It goes out into the market. How long is it until somebody recognizes that, puts either more money into it or does it a little differently or has a little niche to it and comes out with something very similar in a bigger way even? How long is it? Months if you're lucky, days if you're not, right? And people are just waiting for you to come out with things so they can latch on to it and do it themselves, yes or no? Now, isn't it true that software companies, by the way, they have the revised version, the updated version, ready before the first one even hits the market? So they can knock themselves off, right? Now, in the publishing industry, are things moving quickly? I'm in the publishing business, so I can tell you in the old days, it takes like 1 year to 5 years to write a book sometimes, yes? It can take quite a bit of time. And then after all that time, all that effort, all that marketing, all this, you go out there and they get it into the bookstore finally. How long will that bookstore keep that book on the bookshelf if it's not a bestseller? 30 days. 30 days is what that book will last on the bookshelf. And then they take all your books and send them back to the distributor and say, we're not carrying this anymore. Space is too valuable. The books change too quickly. Does that make sense? Right, it's got to be very fast. So you understand why is this? This is because of two reasons. Number one, communication has developed in such a way where people are communicating around the world in a heartbeat. Yes or no? Yes. And then coupled with the fact that so many people want to get in their own business today because they need to, basically, yes or no? That you take those two together and all of a sudden you can't come up with an idea anymore, put it out into the market, have it working, and nobody knows about it. Everybody knows about it quickly, yes or no? Yes. And once they know about it, boom, they're into it too, yes or yes? Yes. So my philosophy is this. You want to get in, and then you want to get what? Out. And then you want to get in again to something else, then you want to get out. Because if you say, well, I think I'll take 7 or 8 years to develop this thing. But whatever you've got, if it's 10 or 12, it's probably a dinosaur already. Nobody even uses the darn thing anymore. Does that make sense? So it's a high-speed type of mentality now. So all I'm saying is this, that things have changed, and we need to revise, what's the word? Revise. What we deem is a normal time frame to success. The other question you want to ask is Speedwealth not only feasible, but is it feasible for you? Feasible for who? Feasible for yourself, right. Now, I cannot answer that question, can I? You can answer that question, but I can't. But I will say this. It's feasible if you are willing to do this. Willing to learn. What's the word? Learn. Learning is critical. Learning changed my life. I didn't know that it was, but it did. So, there's a saying that I use, and I've been quoted many times, and it says this. It says, every master was once a disaster. Say that together with me. Let me hear you. Every master was once a disaster. I mean, think about it. Everybody who's great at something now was once terrible at it. The first few times they were lousy at it. But they didn't stop. They developed. They got better. Yes or no? Yes. Everybody. So there's hope for all of us. Yes or no? Yes. I'll tell you what, from where I came from, if there is hope for me, there's hope for everybody. Simple. Now, the other thing that you want to recognize is if you're willing to master the business skills, if you're willing to master finance, money skills, and if you're willing to master yourself, grow yourself, there's nothing that can stop you. That's all that I can say to you. All right, let's do a declaration together. If you want to put your hand on your chest, that's good. If you want to put your hand on someone prettier's chest, that's better. Here's the declaration. Creating wealth quickly is feasible. Let me hear you.
Creating wealth quickly is feasible.
Creating wealth quickly is feasible for me.
Creating wealth quickly is feasible for me.
Turn around, give somebody a high five and say, you're awesome. Speedwealth principle number 2. What is it, please? Deliver massive value. One more time, 3 times as loud. Let me hear you. Deliver massive value. Did you know that there's actually a specific formula out there that determines how much money you earn to the penny? Would you like to know it?
Yeah.
All right, maybe next course. But what we'll do is, it's called the law of income. The law of what? Income. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to state the law of income. If you have a pen or paper, you might want to write this down, by the way. And I'm going to state it, but I'm going to leave a few blanks. Don't shout out the blanks yet. We'll shout them out together after. So the law of income states that I will be paid. You want to write this down. I will be paid in direct proportion to the blank, I blank, according to the blank. I will be paid in direct proportion to the blank, I blank, according to the blank. Alright, first blank is? What is it? The value. I will be paid in direct proportion to the value I deliver. Thank you. Deliver. According to the marketplace. Very good. One more time. I will be paid in direct proportion to the value I deliver according to the marketplace. I don't mean to be critical here at all, but I will say this, that the number one reason most people are broke or close to it is they don't deliver a lot of value in the eyes of the marketplace and the way that they do it. The law is simple but very strict. If you don't deliver a lot, you don't get what? Paid a lot. Now, is value important? Yes or yes? Yes. Therefore, we have to know what is it that actually determines our value in the eyes of the marketplace. Would that be a good thing to know? Hello? Yes. Let's talk about that. The first thing that determines this word right here is this. What's the word, please? Demand. Who can tell me what demand is? How much do people want your product or service? Is that important, yes or no? And how much are they willing to pay for it? Absolutely. The second one is, what's the second one? Supply. Tell me what that one is. How much of your product or service is already out there in the marketplace? A good example is, I had a chiropractor come to one of these programs in here in Speedwealth Master Camp, actually, a 3-day boot camp in San Diego. And he came because about 6 years ago when he first opened up in Lemon Grove, a little town near southern part of San Diego, he was making about $150,000 a year. Now he's making about $50,000 a year. He's going, what the heck's going on? So he's in this going, he goes, oh my God. I said, what's going on? He says, well, I didn't realize that 7 more chiropractors have opened up in the little town. At first, I was the only one. Does that make a difference, yes or yes? I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people here tonight, but if there were 16 people teaching Speedwealth 16 nights in a row in different places, there wouldn't be that many, yes or no? So does that make a difference? Hello? Absolutely. That's why your USP, your unique proposition, how you do your business is critical. The style that you do it in. All right. The next one is really important, and the next one is this one. What's the word, please? Quality. One more time. Quality. Is that important? What does that mean? The quality of what? Yes. How good is your product or service? Is that yes? Is that important? Yes. Also, and here's the biggie, when it comes to quality, is how good are you at your business? That's critical. You know, it's so funny when we talk a lot about athletes, right? It's very obvious that generally the best athletes in every sport get paid yes or yes? The best tennis players make the most money. The best golfers make the most money. The best basketball players make the most money. The best, they make the most. Yes or no? Right. But when it comes to us as business owners, that whole rule goes out the window. It's like, whoa, who cares how good I am at this? It's not even a factor. You know what? I have a little bit of a secret for you. It's a factor, and it's a big frickin' factor. Right? These guys practice their craft before they go into their arena. Daily, for hours and hours, before they go in. I was in Hawaii recently. I saw the Mercedes golf tournament. I saw Tiger Woods and Mike Weir and all these guys. I was within 10 feet of these guys. And you know what was befuddling to me? is that as we were leaving, we went on this little shuttle to the car, and then there's this practice range and they were every one of them, after they finished around, were all hitting balls and putting. Every one of them after they hit before the game, they hit the game, and they hit after the game. Because they practice to hone their skills, to be the best at what they do. Now, how about you? How good are you at what you do? How good are you at your business in totality? In totality. Would you like to know a really strong indicator of how good you are at your business in totality? Here, it's really simple. Look at your paycheck. Look at your paycheck. That'll tell you everything. See, the paycheck doesn't lie. The paycheck doesn't have a mind to justify things and blame everybody else. Look at your paycheck. That'll tell you what you need to know. Good indication as to how you are in all the aspects of your business. I had a gentleman who got upset when I said that. He says, I am a wonderful artist. And I said, great, you must suck at business. He got upset because he wasn't making any money, right? You understand what I'm saying, right? Good, you're a wonderful artist. That's one part of the business. What about the rest of it? Does being an artist still have to do some marketing, yes or no? Or do they have to have marketing and promotion done, yes or no? Of course. That's part of the business. Where are you there? Absolutely. So that I know it got a little quiet in here after that. But you know what? Every master was once a... Very good. All right. Let's talk about the last one here. The last one is called... What's the word, please? Quantity. One more time, twice as loud. Quantity. Quantity. Thank you. What does quantity mean? How much of your product or service are you actually delivering? What's the key word? Delivering. Notice I didn't say produce. In fact, in the old economics books, and I wouldn't doubt if they're still there, the law of income is there, and it says you'll be paid in direct proportion to the value you produce. You know what? That is absolute BS. You don't get paid for what you produce, do you? Now, how many of you have produced things and never got paid for them? How many of things that are produced sitting in your basement or your garage right now and not getting paid for it? You don't get paid for what you produce. You get paid for what you deliver. In the delivery is the transfer of the goods to the money. That's the rubber meets the road, yes or no? You got to deliver it to get paid, and if you want to get wealthy, you got to get paid. Simple as that. So let me ask you this. Which of the four factors here do you think is the biggest problem for most business owners? How many people say the biggest problem for most is the demand factor? They're not in the right situation. How many know the biggest problem is supply? Too much competition. The biggest problem is quality. How many know the biggest quantity is quantity? All right. In my experience, the number one challenge for most people who are in the small business arena, small business, I choose, say, anything under, let's say, 10 million. That's a small business. Number 4, quantity. Quantity is the biggest challenge. You see, a lot of people have an excellent product or service, and they may even be delivering it to the marketplace, but not in enough what? Quantity to create wealth. So, if you want to get paid, you must deliver your value to people. But if you want to get rich, you have to deliver your value to what? A lot of people. That's the difference. And that's why, regardless of the business, if at all possible, I would highly recommend that what's the word? Possibly part of your revenue come from product sales. Now, why would I say that? Product sales versus strictly personal services where you have to be there to get paid. Why is that? Because products give you the opportunity to deliver large what? Quantities of your value without what? Without limitations. Thank you. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say, for example, that you're in the pen business. The what business? The pen business. And Marriott Hotels calls you up and says, we need 50,000 pens for our new hotels coming up. What do? Well, you go and you pick up the phone and you call up your supplier and you say, I need 50,000 pens. And they send you 50,000 and you ship it off, or they ship it directly to Marriott. Is there a problem? Yes or no? All right, Weston calls up the next week and says, we need 500,000 pens. What do? Same darn thing. You pick up the phone, call the supplier. That supplier doesn't have enough. You call three or four more suppliers. You get them all together. You ship them off to West and you make your money. Yes or no? All right. So that's basically how it is. So all of a sudden here, let's say now you're a massage therapist, and you got 50,000 people waiting and lined up outside your door. What do? You shoot yourself. What can you do? You're stuck. You're finished. Well, you still have the next. What are you going to do?